Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I'm excited today, y'all. And it's a wonder because yesterday it was 76 degrees here. I'm in zone 7A and it has been dropping every hour since yesterday. Today we are in the 30s, mid to low 30s, and it's still dropping, and we're supposed to see teens possibly by morning. And as you can see, it's snowing and sleeting as I stand here in the food forest. And so I just wanted to show you, I know I've talked about this a little bit before, but here we are in the first week of January. Happy New Year, by the way. And here in January, I wanted to show you what was growing in the garden. Granted, yes, we're in zone 7A, so that does mean we get some milder temperatures. However, don't let that discourage you if you live somewhere in cooler temperatures. The biggest thing for you is just to make sure that the greens I'm going to show you today, that the packet says that they are good for colder temperatures. It's just important that you establish them either before you put them in the ground, or they have time to get established before the temperatures drop too much. So I'm going to take you through and show you just a few things that are growing here. And we have so many different greens growing. We have been eating salads right and left, and I love every minute of it. And so let's go see what's growing in January and the snow. So here you'll see my mixed lettuces. I love these. These are like one of my absolute favorites. Now, we started these indoors, and as soon as they were big enough or established enough, we moved them outside. And they have been doing great, and I have been harvesting these right and left every single day. So this is our butter crunch lettuce here, and some of these were planted before others, and but we have already been harvesting these as well. And just so you know, I know you're thinking, oh, you're in zone 7, it stays so mild there, but just know we have had weather in the 20s before we had this warm snap, and we have still been growing all of this. So the cold might slow down the growth, but it will kill it if you plant them out here and they're just little seedlings that haven't gotten started yet. So it's important to make sure they're well established before you move them outside. Okay, so here we have collards and chard, and more collards, even some arugula. And so these are growing. We've been eating these. They're looking wonderfully, even in the snow. Do you see this purple right here? These are one of my favorites. These are the giant red Japanese mustards. Just pinch these off and I use them right into my salads. Love them. Here's more collards. This is a patch of vetch that we have grown here. That was on top of part of the remaining hugel culture, and the sheep actually love vetch. But the thing about vetch is it's really good about putting nitrogen back into your soil. And so since there's really no soil there, that is great. Maybe you can't grow greens, or maybe you don't want to, maybe it's too late for you because it's too cold, or even if you do, and while it's this cold, our greens in the garden are just going to kind of sit there. They're not going to do a lot of growing at this point until it warms up a little bit. They'll take off again. So in the meantime, I'm going to start some microgreens to grow indoors under a grow light. So I have here my coconut coir. I have here trays. These two trays have holes in them so that they can drain well. And then I have two here with no holes. So I'm going to fill these about 2/3 full. Okay, so then I'm going to take my trays with no holes and I'm going to press it in there just to kind of pack it all down. like so. Now I'm going to sit these with the holes in the ones without holes. This will come in handy for watering. Now we're ready to carry these trays inside to get out of this weather and get the seeds planted. I'm going to start with a superfood mixed greens. And what you want to do is put a thin layer sprinkled right over the top. You don't want to have too many holes, but you also don't want to have it piled up too much, like, you know, I did right there. Next one we're going to do is organic speckled peas. And on them we're going to do the same thing. We want a thin layer, but you really don't want them on top of each other. Okay, so now we want to water this. I'm just going to take a basic spray bottle and I want to mist. Okay, so now that they're misted, I want to take a measuring cup of about, it's 2.5 cups, and I'm going to lift this tray up. Remember, there's a solid tray underneath, and I'm going to pour this water in on the bottom. And that will soak up into from the bottom. It'll soak in all the stuff. The water will soak in from the underneath. On this side, same thing. Okay, so now these have water underneath. They've been misted over the top, and I'm going to sit these tiny seeds right over top of these larger seeds. And I'm just literally going to sit this right over the top. And then I'm going to get an empty tray, just basically like it. I'm going to sit it right over the top of it. And I want to put a board over the top here, because what we want to do is we're creating basically an atmosphere similar to being planted in the ground. So we have all of these trays stacked, and it's going to be nice and dark and cool and moist. And so what will happen is this will help push down so that those seeds that we planted, the roots will grow down deeper, and then as they sprout up, it will actually push this tray up. And when it starts to push this tray up is when it'll be ready to go under the grow light. In the meantime, we're going to sit this right here on top of our shelf, not under the grow light yet. We're going to wait until it starts to push this up. Okay, so this is where I'm putting these that we just did, and they will stay here until this tray starts to pop up from the greenery, usually around 3 days, give or take. And so I'm just going to leave those here, not under a grow light. But if you look down below, these here is exactly what we have just planted. Okay, so this here is exactly what we just planted, the mixed greens. And so you can see how nice and thick this is. Now, once these push up and you're ready to move them under the light in about 3 days, you will never water these from the top. You will always lift up this top one. Remember the solid tray underneath? You will always put your measuring cup full, about 2.5 cups of water, underneath there every single day. And so, and here, I never put anything on top. I don't like to use anything like some people will use apple cider vinegar, some people will use bleach, some people will use peroxide. I don't want to use anything on here. What I do use are fans. I have tiny little fans that I have. If you can look closely, you'll see a little bit of the blowing. And so that fan helps circulate things so you don't have to worry as much about mold or anything like that. So they'll sit here and they will grow until you can harvest these at about 8 to 10 days. So these here are about 9 days old, so they're really about ready to harvest. You could harvest them now, you could wait another day or two, but you can see the growth. They're beautiful. I encourage you to research and read about the nutritional value of microgreens. They are so nutritious, and so these are a great way. If you have a salad, add it to your salad. If you don't have salads, you can use this as your salad. Mix these in, throw them on top of your enchiladas, or on top of a soup or stew, or on a sandwich in place of lettuce, or anything like that. These are fantastic. So y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you will get out there and try to have some fresh greens in the winter time, even before the gardening season is ready. And so speaking of gardening season, if you keep a gardening calendar, just know that here in our Zone 7, you might think you have winter still ahead of you, but it is time to start prepping and getting ready now, because my calendar says it is time to plant celery seeds indoors the end of January. So gardeners beware, get ready now. You still have time to get some seeds if you haven't gotten them yet. Get ready. I love to plant some things indoors and then move them outdoors when they're ready, but this is one way you can have some fresh garden vegetables in the wintertime. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Stay safe out there. Happy New Year! And so this year, 2022, I am praying for truth to be revealed, for justice to be served, and for God to be glorified in 2022. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you next week.